Good morning, everybody. I'm Mary from Adtec Healthcare, and I'd like to introduce you to our cold plasma, our clinical evidence, and also our business plan. We're based in London, UK. We are a CE-marked medical device company. We come from a larger industrial company. We're a spin-out. So, as you may or may not know, plasma is used in the semiconductor industry to make semiconductor devices, so your phone, all your screens, all your computers, all this high-tech uses plasma. Plasma is an energized gas, and what we make is cold plasma. We were the first company in the world to introduce premium cold plasma to treat chronic wounds. We own the IP, which is microwave plasma. We have 75 peer-reviewed clinical studies, all in journals. We're looking to raise 15 million. With this, we hope to expand our business and to go to the States with FDA approval. So what is the problem we're addressing? The problem is infected wounds. As you may know, with an infected wound, if it's not treated, it can lead to amputation, it can lead to sepsis. It is a very serious problem in the world. And as you may remember, when COVID started, when there was no vaccine, it was a very scary position. And there is another threat with antimicrobial resistance. WHO has declared that AMR is one of the greatest public threats. It's called the silent pandemic. There are already some bacteria, clever, they become resistant to antibiotics. So it's very important to use alternative antimicrobials whenever possible. And also bacteria, being clever, like virus, have generated biofilms. This biofilm is like a house around the bacteria, and it makes it 1,000 times more resistant to antibiotics. Sorry. So what we are, the plasma, which I mentioned earlier, plasma is often called the fourth state of matter. It's when you apply energy to a gas, you will get plasma. The northern lights, aurora, are quite pretty plasma. Also around the sun is plasma. But what we have generated is what we call cold compared to hot. So it's about 40 degrees. So therefore it's mild enough to treat wounds, treat the patient. So this plasma includes UV, it includes reactive oxygen species, reactive nitrogen species, ions, radicals, electrons, and UV light. And they all combine together to create a physical hole in the bacterial cell wall. So it's a physical mode of action rather than a chemical mode of action. This has great advantage for not developing resistance. And as I said, we were the first company in the world to treat cold plasma. So about the SteriPlas, this is our device. We have proven efficacy. We have done 8 clinical trials. We've also have a number of clinical studies in journals published in Europe. We have shown the faster healing. Now, it's a 2-minute treatment, once or twice a week for a few weeks. It's placed on top of the wound. Particularly for diabetic foot ulcers, the blood flow perfusion is difficult, and the antibiotics don't always reach the toes. So if the toes and if the infection goes into the bone, it'll go into osteoporosis. So our device is mobile. It can be moved around the clinic to different parts. It's a 2-minute treatment. You can treat 20, 30 patients a day. We have thankfully had no side effects or adverse events since the start. Of course, this is based on our design. So our main clinical efficacy, where we looked at most of our data is gathered from so far, is diabetic foot ulcers. We have a clinic in the UK that's using our product every day, treating many patients and also preventing amputation. Surgical site infection is also another big problem. Usually after surgery, patients are pumped with antibiotics, but in some cases it does go on that an infection is generated. So here you can see where we treat deep sternum wounds. So the plasma is placed over the wound, 2-minute, 2-minute, 2-minute. We also have indications in dermatology, obviously with any bacterial conditions such as acne. And we did a clinical trial on actinic keratosis, which is pre-cancer skin lesions. So as I said, the SteriPlas are efficacy in our premium cold plasma, particularly on biofilm. So we did a biofilm in the laboratories as well as in our clinical studies. So in a laboratory, a 24-hour biofilm, 72-hour biofilm, we've shown that the bacterial load reduction was to 0 after 5 minutes treatment. So biofilms is in the wound industry, it's everybody is talking about it. But also another potential indication is in implants. So when an implant is put in the body, like a knee or a hip implant, biofilms and infection is introduced during surgery. And this can lead to big complications where often the implant has to be removed again. So plasma as a gas, it moves, it travels, and it will be, we envisage putting the plasma over the implant during surgery. One of our particular strong indications where we've had a lot of traction is an LVAD driveline infection. So an LVAD is an external pump, and the driveline is often infected. The driveline is usually here in the body, and the biofilm and bacteria generate around the driveline, which of course is very difficult to treat with antibiotics. And up to 30% of drivelines get infected. So we had a number of our clinicians. I remember the first doctor I met in Münster, Germany, a cardiac surgeon, and I was saying, oh, plasma can move, it can go down hair follicles. And he's going, aha, drivelines. So he was the first to use it on drivelines and has great efficacy as the plasma will move down the driveline. So this is some of the data he produced where they completely healed within 1 or 2 weeks. And of course, because it's a physical mode of action, it does not matter what type of bacteria, so gram-positive, gram-negative. Cold plasma has the efficacy against all of these. So we've had a number of other, like in Vienna, there are also, University Hospital in Vienna is also using our SteriPlas every day, and the LVAD coordinator has presented, I think, at 4 conferences this year, all with the great data that he has shown from using our device. So as I said, we're clinically proven, the chronic wounds. So when we were the first in the world, we worked with the Max Planck Institute in Germany, which was fantastic because we had a lot of good scientific research. And Max Planck, so our first clinical trials were comparing standard of care with antibiotics and then standard of care with antibiotics and plasma. And we showed that we were able to reduce the bacterial load 50% more than the standard of care. And in the diabetic foot ulcers, we've also done a clinical trial where we took biopsies and therefore we could measure the change in the bacterial load over the 4-week treatment. And we have shown that the plasma side had improved efficacy versus the standard of care. The LVAD infections, we've not done a clinical trial, but we do have a lot of clinical evidence. And we have shown that we've been able to manage the infection in the patients, and therefore they did not need to get a resurgical. Often the LVAD, which costs hundreds of thousands, would have to be taken out again, lead extraction, and start over again. And also the LVAD patients, there's not as many heart donors, so sometimes LVAD is now, people live with it for a number of years. So as you may know, the wound care market is big, the surgical site infection is big, so it's a 20 billion market, but we are, with our clinical efficacy in treating infection, we believe we have a great potential. Where are we today? We're CE approved. We have approval in Taiwan as well and some other regions, and we do not have FDA approval. However, we went to a conference this year, an LVAD conference, and we had over 40 clinics wanting to test our device. Unfortunately for us, we don't have FDA approval, so it was quite sad. But they're waiting, and we will work with them once we do. The timeline, we started the clinical trials in 2005, and then in 2014, I decided to become a medical device company, and this is when we designed our SteriPlas, and we are now looking, so we spun off from the industrial plasma company this year as a separate entity because we really want to work with the medical company and work with investors. This is the team, me. I have a lot of experience in business development. I started in the industrial plasma semiconductor. I did the first sales for Adtec in America, in Europe. Francois is our South African Chief Technology Officer, is very strong in plasma and product design, and Jay is our business development, has a lot of great relationships with KOLs. Thank you.